Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Astrology Now. And in this episode, Babula will be talking about running us through the astrology with the new moon in Aquarius. And there's a lot going on. And if you feel like it's an avalanche or a tsunami, it is.
It is.
It is. And you had no idea how many problems Babula had trying to connect to this. But I thought I'd start with a bit of an overview because I do colour therapy as well. And moving into the age of Aquarius, for me, that represents the colour turquoise. So, and inherent, and it sort of represents what's going on. And I'm sure a lot of what we're going to cover today too. But in the colours of colour turquoise, if you break that down, it's the colour blue and the colour yellow. And I've just jotted down a few notes here because in blue, which is something we all want, is peace, rest and safety, don't we? We all like, you want to take a breath and just feel that the world is good and calm and harmonious. But every color has its downside, its shadow side, just like the planets and the signs. So, but let's stay with the positive for the moment, which is it also represents communication and truth and trust. But we all know what happens when trust is broken, don't we? And there's been a lot of that going on, and truth has not been disseminated. So this is one of the issues that have come up in this colour. And authority too. Blue represents authority. And if you think of the police wearing blue, I think, is it the fire brigade wear blue? I can't quite remember now. But if you think of the people in authority, what the colours that they wear, actually you watch, I know that some presidents will wear a red tie because it's like power and that sort of thing. But the overall picture here that came up for me, and I'd forgotten about this until I went back to the books, was nurturing mother and problematic father. And I thought, how appropriate, Babula, that we are seeing so much of that going on, aren't we? That energy, not particularly that as parents, but that energy that's in the world at the moment, where we've got people like, things to do with health and medicine and caring for people. But then we've got this problematic, overbearing father who's trying to control everything about that, right? So that's blue. Then we've got yellow, the other side, the other part that makes up the turquoise, and that's acquired knowledge. So that's all about the intellect, the information that we are collecting. But when we get too much of that, and again, we've seen that, we've got mental confusion, and then that creates indecisiveness. So I know, looking at your face, Babula, that you're going, yeah, you're looking at the planets and the signs and what are representing all of those, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's interesting how it all adds up. And of course, the emotions to do with yellow are joy and laughter and delight. But then there's also fear and nervousness and cowardice. And this is what we're seeing in the world too, aren't we? We're seeing people who are frightened. I mean, my goodness, I went down to the local shopping centre, and even though the 2 weeks have been extended for children to go back to school, there's no kids in the shopping centre. The parents are keeping their kids at home, worried about what's going to happen to them if they go out in the big wide world. They're going to get sick. Are they going to die? All those sorts of things. So I feel really, really bad for those kids. But now I know you're going to cover this too, because you're going to look at the North Node in Scorpio for sure. If we go back to the blue, and if we go back into a deeper aspect of that, which is the royal blue, guess what it represents? To know why we are here.
Very good.
So I thought I'd just start off with that, because I thought I could see the astrological connections with the colours too and what they represent.
That's fantastic. And I'm just aware of my painting behind me. I thought I just wanted something a bit more colourful behind me than a plain white wall. And I love painting with turquoise. And you know, it's so interesting, Sheryl. More and more in the recent weeks, I've just been feeling, I've known for a long time I have a strong connection with turquoise. It's one of my very favorite colors. I love to paint with it. And I've just been getting this very strong sense that it is my color. And it feels like that. I used to go for like soft, warm colors. More and more, all I want is turquoise.
Yes.
And those lighter blues and mid blues, you know, the warm blues.
Wouldn't you want that as an astrologer, though? I mean,
Absolutely.
that's represented by Aquarius, isn't it?
Absolutely. And whenever I do anything with the planet Uranus, to me, Uranus itself is always like an electric blue. You can see this kind of royal electric blue behind me, you know, and then there's the softer, lighter blues and turquoise. So, and the yellow in there as well, yellow and orange. So, yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. And I often think, for me, blue too is often like the sky. It has a spaciousness about it.
Yeah, well, that's going into the indigo too, isn't it? And blue
Yeah.
represents imagination as well.
Yes.
And if you go into the indigo aspect of blue, it's, you know, it's opening up those psychic connections to what's out there in the unseen realms.
Yeah.
And the outer realms too. Yeah.
That's right. Somehow it's sort of connecting us with all of that. Yeah.
Well, you know, you've got, oh, sorry, I was going to say, you know, Mercury represents communication and messages, but that indigo is the psychic connection to that, you know, receiving from divinity, basically, or from the universal energy.
And that's a deep, deep blue, isn't it? Almost black, but deep, beautiful, midnight. I often call that midnight blue.
Yep.
Gorgeous. God, you could just sort of drown in that gorgeous deep blue. Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic. So this is, I love that. I love bringing the color in because I think most of us are, but I'm crazy about color. It's actually what really motivated me to begin painting. It was just wanting to express with color.
Yes, play in it.
Play in the color.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I was just saying to Sheryl just before we started, everyone, that I feel a bit like a broken record these last few months, saying, oh God, it's another big month on its way. And I was also just sharing on Facebook about, like, how's everyone feeling? Is anyone else feeling like you've just been through one hell of a month? And it's been really full. And I will talk about that in reflection about the last month. And then, you know, looking ahead to February, I'm thinking, and here comes another one.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like a train or a tsunami, you know, that just keeps coming.
Yeah.
And it's reflected in the skies with the movements of the planets and what we're experiencing, like down here on the ground.
Yeah. Well, I've done a bit of a Cancerian thing. I've just unplugged and gone into the cave.
Good. Very good.
Yeah, just needed to have that break.
Absolutely have to. Yeah, that's right. And it's happening in everyone's lives. I just know so many people who've been through so much this last month on a personal level, and we're seeing massive things going on around the world, depending on what kind of news source we like to follow, whether it's mainstream or other. There are massive things going on.
Well, I would expect a lot of people interested in astrology would be following alternative news
I would think
as well.
By and large, that's right. Not exclusively, but by and large, absolutely. Because we want to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
what the hell's going on?
What the hell's going on? Well, you know, overall, there's this very strong theme that I think we're all in collectively now during these last couple of years and over the next couple of years. And it's, to me, it's around this relationship between two signs that sits not right next to each other, and that's Capricorn and Aquarius. Right? Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. We've had those powerful squares between those two planets last year. And it's weakening this year, but there's still a bit of a dynamic there, but it's definitely not as full on as it was last year. And right now, at this time of year, you know, the sun, the sun's in Aquarius now, but it's come out of Capricorn. But on this new moon in Aquarius, and there's a lot to unpack here. Mars is in Capricorn. One of the major asteroids, one of the most important asteroids, Vesta.
Oh, yes.
She's in Capricorn. Venus is still retrograde in Capricorn. She comes out very, very, very soon. Mercury is retrograde in Capricorn. Pluto is at the end of Capricorn. And another one of them, 4 major asteroids, Juno, is at the very last degree of Capricorn. Then we have the new moon at 12 degrees of Aquarius, conjunct Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn. And also, interestingly, an old ruler of Aquarius before Uranus was discovered. And the new moon conjunct Saturn, I'm just listing it all out, folks, and then we'll kind of break it down and have a proper look at it, is square to Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. So there's this strong theme that's been playing out for a couple of years, and for the next 2 to 3 years as Pluto finishes his journey through Capricorn and starts to break through into Aquarius. That's being reflected in all these movements that we're experiencing in the last 2 years, and particularly right now. It's one of the reasons it's been such a strong month. And so those 2 signs, it's interesting when we go on a journey around the zodiac, and I love to do that. I love to take people on a journey around. It's very interesting. You know, in Capricorn, we're building and wanting to manifest goals and a mission and bring it into form and structure. And that's really important. That's a good thing in Capricorn.
Yeah.
But because this has been going on for thousands of years, that structure and that system has become so solidified and so tight and absolutely obsessed with utter total control of everything, 100%.
It's like lava that's hardened, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's become literally like rock.
Yeah, need a jackhammer to break it open.
Exactly. And that's the job of Uranus and that Aquarius energy, to start to crack this thing open. Like that's what an earthquake does.
Yep.
It can bring down mountains and stone buildings.
Yeah.
It just cracks it all. And so there's this dynamic, and that's why everyone's feeling so much tension and there is, it's not just a feeling, it's actually happening. The pressure is real. It's playing out in the world. Big time. So it's very intense. And if anyone's thinking, you know, is it just me, or, you know, am I going crazy? No, this is real and it's happening, and we're all in it, and we're all experiencing it in our family life, in our work, in our you know, relationships, friendships, our connection with our belief system, our spiritual ideas and beliefs, a political notion, everything.
Yeah.
Everything is going through this process. There isn't anything that's untouched. Nothing.
Yeah, it reminds me of that book title, One Day My Head Just Opened Up or Cracked Open or something like that. I can't remember now. But you know, maybe it was by David Icke, maybe. I can't remember. But
and I mean, some days it feels like one day my head exploded. It can literally feel like some days like we're going to explode from this immense pressure, which is what happens with a volcano. You know, the pressure builds up and then there's an eruption. And if we look historically, I feel like you and I could talk for a few hours here today. There's so much happening. You know, we could just go on and keep bringing the astrology in. But if you look historically, when, you know, civilizations and systems of control get so tight, at some point there is an explosion. There is a revolution. There is something that smashes it and breaks it, not necessarily always with a good outcome necessarily, but that's a natural process, you know. Yeah. So it is a lot, and I'm just kind of wondering. So I'm going to kind of ramble on a bit and rave on a bit because it's trying to sort of pull all this together, and then I'll kind of go sequentially through it all. But just to bring our attention back to Venus has been in Capricorn since the 5th of November. She'd normally whiz through a sign in 3 to 4 weeks. She doesn't leave until the 6th of March. And the reason she's been in Capricorn, this very important sign for us all, for literally 4 months, she's in Capricorn, is because of the retrograde period she's been through. 6 retrograde down in the underworld. Every time she goes retrograde, there is a period where she disappears from the night sky, and she has literally, like in Nana, the great goddess, she has descended into the underworld. And she was previously the evening star. She went through a deepest descent. She's reappeared again, and now she comes up in the morning ahead of the sun as the morning star. This time, why that process was so important, she literally has met with Pluto, Hades, the lord of the underworld, while metaphorically she was in the underworld, because it's Capricorn and that's where Pluto is. So this has been one hell of a Venus retrograde.
Is she breaking the gates of hell open?
She is. She is. I mean, Capricorn is not a weak sign. It's a strong sign. So she means business. Anything Capricorn means business.
Yep.
If things get serious.
Yes.
Okay, we're serious now. We're doing it.
Absolutely.
So she's been making, and there's still one more to come, 3 conjunctions with Pluto during this whole period she's in Capricorn. The middle one on Christmas Day was when she was in a retrograde. Her final conjunction with Pluto will be on the 4th of March. And then a couple of days later, she'll leave Capricorn and go into Aquarius, and we will all feel that. So the goddess is going through this deep, and she's taking her with us with her. She's been through this deep initiation process, a deep purification, a confrontation with the darkest of shadows within ourselves, in our relationships, in our dynamics of everything in the world that we live in. You know, we are confronting and coming to terms with some hefty stuff on this planet. Big stuff. And so the feminine, you know, the goddess has been in this deep process. Now, what's also taken place, I'm just trying to find try to keep my note. Okay. On the 24th of January, Mars entered Capricorn, and he is here until the 6th of March. Now, you probably don't recall, but just a little while ago, I said Venus will finally leave Capricorn on the 6th of March. So this is super interesting. So Venus is in Capricorn for 4 months. Mars has just come into Capricorn. And they both exit this sign. See, I'm getting goosebumps even speaking of it. And they leave Capricorn. And it's like, we can call them the 2 lovers, the masculine and feminine principle, hold hands as they come out of the underworld, both having had these deep meetings with Pluto. And they come out, oh, fuck, it's just giving me shivers. They literally come out of the underworld, transformed, powerfully initiated, having met the deepest, darkest of shadows, ready to come out into the light, into the energy of Aquarius together, united. Isn't that extraordinary?
It is amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to relate that to something in the world, you know, for people who don't fully understand that. It's almost like, it's a bit like powerful peacemaking.
Powerful peace, because Venus is the heart. She's the feminine principle of union, of coming together, of sharing, of bonds, of relationship, of love, and Mars is the god of war, the masculine warrior action, you know, entering the fray and taking what actions must be taken. And the fact that they are joining together is like heart and warrior together. I love this so much. Like, I just can't stop getting goosebumps, because I think this is so powerful for everyone in every aspect of our lives, but for the world, it's massive. So
I'm thinking about Xena.
Exactly. It's quite Xena-like.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Powerful warrior, but feminine.
Yes. And you know, so determined, because Capricorn is that tough mountain goat that climbs the mountain and endures all kinds of hardship, but is sure-footed and knows exactly what he needs to do to survive. You know? And it's like stripping back, like all our illusions are just being stripped away, where we're coming face to face, it seems, on a daily basis with another layer of reality. You know, we can't shy away from it.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's amazing.
I'm getting another color coming through, which is when Mars and Venus come out of the underworld, hand in hand. It's also into Aquarius. It's about olive green, which is about feminine leadership.
Yes.
Yeah, and to do that, I mean, olive is you can't eat an olive until you marinate it. Yes. So they've been marinating in the underworld, haven't they?
Yes.
While they come out, so they can then be taken into the collective consciousness. This is a new sort of energy.
It is. It is. And it's a very significant moment, I think, on the 6th of March when they do this. And it takes us back to around the 17th, 19th of December, 2020, when a very important astrological event occurred, very, very significant, when Jupiter and Saturn, another two pairs of opposites, just like Venus and Mars are, the masculine, feminine principle, Jupiter and Saturn, expansion, contraction, came together. They both left Capricorn at the same time and joined together at 0 degrees of Aquarius at the same place. This is extraordinary. You know, and in 2023-24, Pluto will make that crossing. It's going to take him 2 years to make that crossing. It's like crossing a border, crossing dimensions, literally portals. Like, I don't use the word portal. I don't throw it around. I know it's a word we hear a lot.
Yes.
But it is real. And it's, you know, this is phenomenally important what's happening. So, yeah, it's when I stopped to sort of break this down and look at the timing and I just went, wow. I kind of knew it was coming, but I hadn't seen the real significance of it until I really started to sort of break it down. And so, yeah, it's been very, very intense. Now, interesting, before Venus and Mars make a conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius on the 6th of March, in February, it's like they're dancing together at the moment. In Capricorn, they're going to make a conjunction on the 17th at 16 degrees of Capricorn on the same day as the full moon. So we're talking today, and we will come to the new moon. On the new moon, 2 weeks after that, the culmination of this lunar cycle will be on the 17th, on the full moon, and on the same day, Venus and Mars join up together in Capricorn at 16 of Capricorn. And then they, you know, do a little bit of a dance. But they're actually, through February, they're traveling very close together. Very close together. But they make these 2 exact conjunctions, one in Capricorn, and then literally 2 weeks later at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Wow.
That's a lot of energy.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how the rinse cycle is going to look.
That's right. That's right.
Because that's the wash, isn't it?
Yes. And I think, you know, I often think of Venus and Mars when they're in some kind of a contact, an aspect together, like you might have it. I have them in a strong relationship with each other in my own chart. Might be a square, an opposition, or something like that. When they're together in some way, it speaks of passion. You know, it's like the love and passion of the heart of Venus and his fiery passion and, you know, that masculine energy. Now, I'm not talking about gender and gender identity. I'm speaking of energy, of archetypal energies, and we have them both. You know, we're all a mix of these masculine, feminine energies and fundamental archetypes. We all are. So whatever gender identity we want to relate to, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So if you could put all of that together for those who don't, and I've got friends who watch this but they don't get it. a lot, some of it, you know,
Yes.
because they haven't studied astrology and looked into it a lot, but they are interested in what's happening.
Right.
They try and sort of distill out of it what they can.
Yes.
So if you had to come up with a few phrases that would represent what you've just spoken about, what would come up for you?
Okay, so I actually made a few notes. Often if I do that, I start writing and it comes, you know, and there is this incredible sense of commitment, purpose, determination, mission. I've found more and more in recent years, I've started to speak when I'm doing readings and sessions with people, when they have Capricorn energy strong in the chart, this sense of they feel like they've come in on a mission and they say yes. And there's this, there is a mission and I'm here to fulfill the mission. And there is this strength and determination to stay focused. So Capricorn, so there's a lot here about, let me give you an analogy and I'll come back and speak more. I'm going to speak about an event that's going on that is so big that's happening in Canada.
Yes.
All your viewers may not have heard of this. It's happening right now. It's only come to our attention in recent days.
Yep.
And people are now saying, you know, the convoy of trucks making its way through Canada from all parts of Canada, and they're coming up from the United States as well, all heading towards Ottawa, the capital. Huge semis, huge rigs, trucks, tractors. Some are now saying it's over 100 kilometers long.
Yes.
There's never been anything like this that's ever happened before.
Yes, I was reading something, the last count was 50,000 trucks.
Yes, which is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
And they're all decked with huge flags of Canada and big signage, like massive, and that all the people have come out along the side. It's -30, -40 degrees, and everybody's out in the freezing cold.
Oh, no.
That is Capricorn tough.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the determination. We don't care how cold it is. We have to do this. This is important. This is getting serious now. Babies are dying. Children are dying.
Yes. Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. We've got to talk straight about this. So it's the people have come out en masse and they're on all the overhead bridges and they're waving it and they're cheering and supporting these people who are driving these trucks. And what I've seen in the last 2 days of people are now, and this is Venus, the people, the families, the women, the children, the families are coming out as mostly men. There will be women truck drivers too, so please don't assume I'm only talking about men and women. You know, the men are driving their trucks and the people are coming out and providing them with food.
Yeah.
There's a huge fundraising campaign. Over $5 million have been raised by the people to feed them, to pay for their diesel, to support them.
Yes.
Because this will be costing them a fortune.
I've seen the stockpiles of food and water bottles, you know, at various places for them. They're being supported.
They come into towns and the whole towns come out and they're feeding them, they're looking up. This is Venus.
Yes.
You see, this is love and I think Venus conjunct Mars is love in action.
Yeah.
So I watch these videos and it's straight to my heart.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So this is one way we can look at Venus and Mars together. It's love in action, masculine and feminine together on the same page, totally united for a mission, for a cause, for a purpose, and nothing's going to stop them.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So that might initiate a few other things because Mars is an initiator. It's a I've said it before. It's a word escapes me at the moment, but it's pioneering.
Yes,
pioneering is the word. Yes,
it's like it's all about getting things going.
Yeah,
and what it has done, as you say, that it's actually been triggering different countries. This movement has now it's kicked off in Australia, European countries. I'm hearing other things around the world. It's activating
the
same response because this is about the whole of humanity. It's the whole world. It's not about one country, is it? It's the whole of humanity. So this is I think, I really saw that this morning as I was looking at more of these pictures, you know, of the people coming out and support, feeding them, giving them money, cheering them on, letting them know we're with you, the masculine and feminine together. And Capricorn, it's a practical, pragmatic sign. Let's get real. Let's face these hard, tough realities, and let's come together and do something real about it. And any Capricorn worth their salt isn't going to put in that much effort without really believing they're going to get a result.
Yes.
You know, it's very result oriented.
Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know?
Why do it if you can't do anything with it, you know, like
right.
get anything out of it,
That's
or
right.
have some, you know, something that emerges. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
And then on the other side of this, as these energies finally, like Venus, when she finally comes out of Capricorn with Mars, I love that so much, into Aquarius. It's like something huge is going to have changed.
What was that date?
6th of March.
The 6th?
The 6th of March. Yes. So note that date in your diary.
I'm writing it down.
Yes. And I mean,
but I was just going to say, as you were talking, I mean, we're living history, aren't we? We are. People are going to talk about this whole few years for decades and into history books.
Generations, for
yes,
generations.
Go into history books, and I could just I'm getting an idea of some alien civilization looking at our history and going, what the heck?
Shaking their heads and going, what is going on?
Yeah. But it's going to be the, you know, the point of sci-fi movies. I mean, it already is. All these sort of disaster movies. There's been a whole increase in series of them. But I think in the future, we're going to see the misfortune of getting it wrong, of how you you know, how you deal with a disaster, like that recent movie Don't Look Up.
Yes, I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
That's
right. So I'm very, very curious to see what kind of movies start being made on the other side of this, when the real breakthroughs happen, and that old paradigm has finally been broken down and just been broken. When it's finally broken and we're in a whole new way of living on this planet together, boy, the movie's going to be amazing. They're going to be amazing.
I know it's going to be blockbusters all over the place. But, you know, I was listening to Dr. Zach Bush, with quite a few of you, probably the viewers have probably heard of him and watched some of his interviews. But he was saying that something really interesting happens when, and we're just talking about this Capricornian energy, something really interesting happens is when you've got, say, a scientist who is at the top of the heap and is always referred to as, you know, the one that other scientists refer to, the peers talk about, blah, blah, blah. But it can also, when someone's like that, what they say can very much control the narrative of that scientific field.
That's right.
When they die, and people are, you know, often sad when they die, but when they die, the things that have been held back by that person's thinking, suddenly you've got these other scientists who pop up and start coming up with new ideas. Right. Yeah. Right. So there's this innovative thinking that arises, and I think this is what we're going to see.
Yes, exactly.
It's already started.
On a big scale. That's right. It's already happening. It's just not happening still in the mainframe. In the way that's obvious to people. But that's right. That's right. Okay, so let's maybe we should talk about the new moon.
Maybe. Yes, go on.
Okay, so on the 29th of January, Venus will actually turn direct again. Now, when these planets turn direct, it takes them, particularly a fast-moving planet like Venus and Mercury, it'll take her, you know, some days to begin to gather a bit of momentum, because they're moving very slowly when they're at these stations and changing direction. So we will feel some kind of a shift as Venus. It's been pretty big around relationships in general. the last 6 weeks while she's been retrograde. So she'll turn direct again at 11 degrees of Capricorn, but on the same day, Mercury, still retrograde, is making one of his 3 conjunctions with Pluto. So Venus and Mercury, both, as they do their retrograde dance, are making 3 meetings with Pluto. Each of them are meeting with Pluto 3 times. So that's why this has been so intense for people, the pressure, the sense of chaos, the day after day, the relentless pace of it has been extraordinary.
Yeah, I'm just thinking with that Mercury and Pluto, I mean, could we see the death of some thinking or some ways of thinking, or perhaps a transformation of media?
Yes.
Those sorts of things. You know, I mean, what else could you think of that would represent that?
I think we're coming to terms with a lot of information that's being kept secret, you know, and the insane, outrageous censorship that's taking place, you know, and those kinds of things. And I think that's cracking open more and more. I think more and more people are beginning to really understand that perhaps didn't before, you know, the extent to which the mainframe has been completely controlling information.
Contrived. Yeah.
Like extremely controlling. Yeah. And to the extent of actually pulling stuff off the internet because they don't want people to see it.
Yeah. And, you know, it's always been like that, except we're just waking up. That's the other
that's right.
side of the equation that's changing.
That's right.
We're waking up.
People are waking up. That's right. So that's one of the things. But on a personal level, for us, Mercury is, you know, how we communicate. So we're having to go deeper. We're having to confront issues that might be uncomfortable, speak about things that perhaps we don't really want to, or we'd rather avoid, but that we're sort of being pushed to go there, you know, to clear the air, or to be really honest or very real about things. People can also feel very, very depressed with when Mercury's retrograding in Capricorn, particularly. Capricorn is a sign that can be prone to depression because it has a certain density and heaviness about it, Capricorn.
Yeah, it could be quite negative.
Yeah, it's not a lightweight sign, you know.
No.
So when Mercury, our thinking mind, is there, we can feel weighed down, you know, just weighed down by burdens, by pressures, by difficulties in our life. Like a lot of people have lost work for various reasons. Businesses are going to the wall. People have had to leave jobs because they won't obey the rules, you know, what they're being told to do, because it goes against their conscience and soul and so on. And there's a lot of people in dire straits.
Yeah.
You know, so Mercury retrograding in Capricorn and meeting up with Pluto 3 times can feel at times very heavy and very somber and just like, oh God, when is this going to end? That kind of feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and it has felt like a very long, tough month in many ways, you know.
There's so many things I could say, but we've only got an hour and people want to listen to the astrology, so I'm just keeping my lip zipped.
That's what I mean. That's why I said we could speak for hours today. Yeah, there's so much. Okay, so the 29th, you know, the end of this month, there's those 2 major things happening, both happening in Capricorn. Now, on the 31st, the sun will make a square aspect to Saturn. Sun in Aquarius square Saturn. So that's more of that sort of, you know, that tension between the earth sign and the air sign of Aquarius. But on the 1st is the new moon. So let's talk about the new moon.
Yeah.
We could spend the rest of the time just talking about the new moon, but
I feel lighter already.
Good. Yes. New moon's in Aquarius.
Yes.
Yes. Because the last cycle, 4 weeks ago, the new moon was in Capricorn, which, you know, set the tone for the last 4 weeks. So it's been very Capricornian. Yes. So the sun is now in Aquarius and the new moon will take place on the 1st at 12 degrees of Aquarius, meaning the sun and the moon are both together exactly at 12 degrees of Aquarius. conjunct Saturn, which is at 15 degrees of Aquarius. So see, even then it's in Aquarius.
Yes.
But Saturn is there.
Yes. And that's all happening in my first house, by the way.
There you go. There you go.
Yes.
And it's happening in my sixth house, which is the house of, daily life and work and just all the daily stuff of life. And that new moon in Saturn square Uranus. So again, we've got this same theme strongly present and strongly activated on this new moon. So that again sets the tone for these next 4 weeks.
Yes.
But it's the focus is not so much on the Capricorn, it's on the Aquarius, but Saturn's presence there is always a couple of things. Yes, it can feel like, oh God, when is it going to let up, because he's keeping the pressure on. But Saturn at its very best to me brings tremendous clarity and purpose.
Yep.
So to me, the highest expression of him is, okay, this is real. What are you going to do about it? We have to actually do something purposeful and meaningful with what we're presented, and get clear and focused. And square Uranus, that pressure of the old and the new pushing up against each other is still very strong. So back to that analogy, it's not an analogy, it's actually real, but it works as a thematic, what's happening in Canada. The PM, he's speaking of this. I saw a little short video yesterday. A very, very minor few fringe people, in this expedition to the capital, they do not represent, the true spirit of Canada, and people just shake their heads and go, "You've got to be joking."
It's not, he's not looking. He doesn't want to look, or he's being told not to look, or he'll be very not to look.
Yes, and he'll be very nervous right now.
Yes.
And I would imagine in the capital, they'll be trying to get themselves prepared for what's coming, because it's coming.
Yeah.
It's literally bearing down on them.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of imagining like that energy, if they put up barricades, a convoy of massive rigs just going to smash straight through it.
Yeah.
But that's a nice analogy. Well, nice. It's an analogy for this dynamic.
Yeah.
Enough. Straight through.
Well, that square aspect is also, square is catalyzing, isn't it?
Very much.
Makes things happen.
It does.
Yeah.
Squares, and we've all got them in our charts. And squares don't make things easy, but they do. They are catalysts. They make us get off our butt.
Yeah.
In simple terms, that's what they do.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because generally humans, we like our comfort zones. We like we like to feel comfort, and we don't like change particularly. Not big ones anyway.
And we all in different ways struggle with inertia. It's very tempting to just go into an inertia zone.
Yep.
But that's not gonna,
no.
That's a recipe for disaster in the current situation.
Well, that's interesting. I'll be curious to see how that flows on to the rest of the world. That is like a tsunami, isn't it?
It is a tsunami.
An event that happens and then.
And it's very real. It's very Capricorn. It's very tangible. It's a real thing. It's not some airy-fairy concept. No. This is something real that's actually happening on the ground. And it's just like it's seriously triggered and activated this massive response around the world. Like it's all over social media. They'll be madly trying to pull all this stuff down, and they'll be pulling people's pages off and shutting them down and doing what they can, but they're not going to stop it. You can't stop a tsunami.
No, gosh, no, just get out of the way. But I have been wondering what was going to happen in the US with their Pluto return. So maybe this will be part of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because what's happening in Canada is exactly also, it's the same story in the US, and those two countries have a strong relationship, obviously, clearly. Yeah. And I've actually seen some of those trucks with these massive flags of Canada, I've seen some of them with flags of the United States and Canada. That really symbolizes that. So this is going to have a huge impact there as well, because, you know, mainstream media can say there's virtually nothing happening, or they really minimize it, but it doesn't change the fact that how massive
it's happening. Yeah.
And the people are seeing it.
That is the blue truth.
That is. That is.
And the royal blue to be able to see right through it.
That's right. And sooner or later, people are going to start to see that mainstream media does not tell the truth.
Yeah.
Ever. Okay. So that's us. We're on a soapbox today, Sheryl.
Yes, we are. I like it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, I'm just going to hold this up just to give you a visual.
Wow.
This is a chart of the new moon. There's the new moon there. Sun and moon are together, 12 degrees of Aquarius. All of these planets and so major asteroids are in Aquarius, and all of this is in Capricorn. You see the picture? I had to show you because it's a beautiful visual. And there's me with my purple pen just scribbling all over it. But that's what I'm talking about. That means in the sky, there is this gathering in this one section of the sky, Capricorn and Aquarius. And it's such an amazing representation of what's actually going on in everyone's personal reality and personal world and in the collective field. It's pretty amazing. So
now one question for those who've just seen that and don't understand it. I know that when you've got a lot going on in one quadrant, it means something. What does it mean?
It's a tremendous focus of energy. It's like
but each quadrant has a meaning, doesn't it?
Well, this is more to I'm more focused. The quadrants here are only related to the time of day of this new moon.
Okay. All right.
So that's not so relevant here. It's more about the signs. Like, look at all this Capricorn. And all those planets and asteroids in Aquarius. That's the main thing here. When I speak of asteroids, you know, there's thousands of named asteroids, but the early ones named and discovered, and they are the largest and still regarded as the most significant, they're all ganging up in here as well. It's like everyone's coming together to participate in this process. It's like humanity is becoming more and more united. As much as they try and divide us and separate us, humanity is waking up to the fact that this is a worldwide issue. There are forces trying to control the entire planet, and all of humanity must engage in this. You know, so I think when we get this big gathering of planets all in one section of the sky and across a small space, it does, I think, represent a profound concentration of energy around this one theme, this one dynamic, this one issue.
Yeah.
And it's why January and February are so strong and quite intense, and it can feel chaotic because these energies are pushing up against each other. You know, when Mercury retrograde is often quite chaotic, but it's been a doozy.
Yeah.
Really,
I'm just stunned at looking at that. I do see things like that, and I saw something similar, not as, because I don't think the asteroids are involved, but when the pandemic actually started, they were all lined up in that
exactly
part of this chart. Yeah,
exactly, because it was around the same time of the year when the sun's always in Capricorn and when it goes into Aquarius, but these couple of years, all the other planets have come in as well. It's been very, very interesting. So we could say this is the whole thematic Capricorn, Aquarius. And again, we could be here for hours just really unpacking those two signs.
Yeah.
To say about each one. I'm just trying to give the sense of them.
Yeah.
So one thing I love, one of the asteroids that is very active on this new moon is the goddess Astraea, and she's one of the main ones, and she's like the goddess of astrologers. You know, Asta means star. That's why we have asteroids, astrology, astronomy, Asta is the stars. And so Australia, she is the goddess of the stars. She carries star wisdom. She is often regarded as the astrologer's asteroid. She's right here on this new moon in Aquarius, the sign of astrology.
Wow.
I just wanted to throw that in. It's fabulous. and believe me, like, astrology's really grown in the last couple of decades massively. I started when it was still very small.
Yeah.
But like, astrologers everywhere now, because they have computers and social media, and they're all doing amazing work around the planet. And what's happening is more people now have access to it, and more people are getting educated. All the astrologers have got a lot to say about what's going on. So that's a fabulous thing, fantastic thing. All right, so let me come back. And did you want to say something? Or
No. I'm just breathing it all in.
I get on a roll, and you have to kind of push your way in.
Oh, that's okay. I was just watching the time, so I know we've been raving on a bit. But there's so much to talk about.
There is. So let me just go through then the next couple of weeks. I think. Okay, so the new moon on the 1st, then on the 4th, Mercury will go direct. So that means within a few days, Venus and Mercury turn direct. And while there's still some strong energies playing out, there will be a sense of easing off with Mercury and Venus turning direct again. We'll have this sort of feeling of, oh, that's feeling a little bit better. It just will. On the 5th, the Sun will conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. And on the 12th of February, Mercury will make his final conjunction with Pluto, but now in direct motion at the end. And then on the 15th, Mercury will leave Capricorn and go into Aquarius. So, it's so fascinating to me to watch and notice what I'm feeling and experiencing energetically as planets shift signs and leave a sign and move into the next one. There is a notable change in the vibe, there just is. There just really is. And then the full moon occurs on the 17th at 27 degrees of Leo and Aquarius, and it will square. We haven't talked about the nodes yet, and you mentioned it straight up. There was so much else to talk about. But the full moon in 2 weeks' time after this new moon, which will be the peak and culmination of this lunar cycle, is at 27 degrees of Leo Aquarius, squaring the nodes at 27 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. So again, that's and that's the same day that the Venus-Mars conjunction will happen at 16 degrees of Capricorn. So I'm sorry, folks, but it's another one of those buckle up and understand that we're all in this very sort of critical time, and serious things are happening on this planet, very, very serious things. Having said that, as Sheryl and I do, and we must remember to do things that give us pleasure, that give us fun, to not disconnect from joy, because that's what we really are. And if we disconnect from joy and just go down and don't come back up again, that's not helpful. It's understandable, and sometimes we have to go there for a period of time and go down into the dark. We absolutely must, but we can remember to find those things that make us feel joyful and happy and laugh.
Yes. Yeah, very, very important. And if you want to do a test on how joyful you've been lately, just ask yourself, how often do I smile these days as opposed to pre all this? And you get it's a real touchstone.
Yes.
For of getting that understanding, that comparison. It's sort of like that's very a wake-up call. That's real.
It is. That's right. And it's one of the things I do enjoy about social media is the hilarious memes. They're sometimes like dark, but we have to laugh at have to have some dark humor and laugh at the absurdity of everything that's going on. And some things are just hilarious. And there's nothing like just laughing out loud at something that's just, it struck your funny bone. It's fabulous. And, Capricorn, for all its seriousness and weightiness, has a wicked sense of humor.
Yes.
It's not always obvious because it's often comes across deadpan.
Yes, very dry.
Paying attention to what they're saying. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So this is so important we've got to remember our joyful spirits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what about the we're going to talk about the nodes.
Thank you. Thank you. That's right.
See that, folks? That was a wake-up call.
That's right. Thank you. Bring me back to that. So, we probably touched on this before, but the nodes came out of, in January, in the middle of January, they came out of their 18-month journey through Gemini and Sagittarius, and they've moved into Scorpio Taurus. So the south node of the moon, known by the Indian Vedic astrologers as the tail of the dragon, and the north node of the moon, the head of the dragon, is in Taurus. South node's in Scorpio now for 18 months, north node's in Taurus for 18 months. That's intense. That has added to the intensity we've been experiencing in January. Like that shift, I forget, was it the 19th, something like that? I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
When those nodes changed sign. It was quite recent. And oh boy, talk about, we thought we're in the underworld already with Mercury and Venus retrograding down there. Then the south node came into Scorpio, the sign that's ruled by Pluto, the underworld. So we're in very deep waters, and deep, dark shadows are being revealed and exposed, and it's not comfortable or pleasant or easy, but so necessary. And even in our own inner self, our own reality, having to face shadow stuff in our relationships and so on, relationships that we thought were like this, we're having to confront with, actually, I think I've been deluding myself. It's really like this. I won't go into the whole story, but I had an experience this week where a woman booked a session with me online because she lives in another country. She didn't show up. And that rarely happens, but it does occasionally. And so I emailed her a couple of times, got no reply. I thought, I don't know what's happened. I've since found out through a friend of hers who contacted me that something terrible happened to her.
Oh, no.
Something appalling has happened. So it's like these are the realities that hit us, that, and we're in a time when this is going on day after day after day, and we can turn away from them if we want to and not face up to it, but I'd rather, meet these things as they arise.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some very, very strong things going on. So so south node in Scorpio, and those of you who were born during a time when south node was in Scorpio and the north node was in Taurus will relate to this. And I've seen it over the years in my work. It's got a lot to do with clearing old, dark and difficult and often traumatic karma, past life experiences, stuff from early childhood, family traumas, generational trauma, south node in Scorpio. Because as the tail of the dragon, it's like this is where we have to release and eliminate old stuff. Now, when it's in Scorpio, old, deep, often traumatic stuff comes up. So for the collective, for all of humanity, and I've been saying for some years, and more so in the last 2, that in my opinion, the whole of humanity is suffering from, collective PTSD.
Yeah.
And trauma.
Yeah.
It's historical and generational and familial and cultural, everything. And so this is now being really highlighted. you know, as we come to terms even more with, you know, what's been going on in the deep. And then the point of it is just to transform it, heal it, clear it, and process it. So, and I know this is true, therapists, healers, psychologists, they are so busy. They just can barely keep up. They're having to make sure they're taking care of themselves, you know, or they'll go under because they're just in so much demand. And because the need is very great, you know, for all kinds of different reasons.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a very intense nodal story. But the good news is that the North Node in Taurus is an invitation to grow and develop our capacity to come into the body. What you said about the turquoise being a color of calm, I really heard, that's the word that I really heard, you know, of calm and peace.
That was actually blue, but it's in the turquoise. Yeah.
Yes, it's the blue. That's right, in the turquoise. But Taurus is the earth. It's nature, the trees, the garden, growing your vegetables, sitting outside in your garden, and just, you know, I was digging in my new little veggie patch because I've moved house and I've actually got a veggie patch now. I'm so happy. And I was digging up all these old things that were in there. And this beautiful bird came and sat on a branch near me for like half an hour, and he just sang. I just stopped and I just drank all of that in. You know, it's those precious, beautiful moments of the peace and the calm and the stillness that nature is just forever providing, if we're willing to stop and connect. So that's a big piece of what will help to heal these old traumas when we're under incredible stress and duress. And it has been a stressful month. I've had periods of where I felt extreme stress, and I've had to go and do something to diffuse that, you know. And often it's for me to get outside and get on the earth, and or go for a really strong walk in nature and just walk it out and until it all starts to clear and settle again.
Yeah. And moving the body is really good for that.
Really good for that. And being outside, you know, feeling the air and the sky and the tree, even if it's raining, it doesn't matter.
Sun on you if you can.
Yeah. Even if it's storming, even better, you know, you're kind of being met by that energy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's right. So it's coming to ground, you know, meditating. Buddhism is very, very deeply connected to Taurus in my experience. So that you don't have to become a Buddhist, but it's taking those basic ideas of sitting, stopping under a tree if you can, you know, being still, closing your eyes, just breathing, stopping. And how we can bring ourselves into the present is literally just to pay attention to birdsong. Just drop everything else, stop thinking and just listen to the bird. He's bringing a great gift. Or feeling the breeze, you know, the trees, or getting into your garden. It brings us into now.
Yes.
Because when we're in trauma and distress, we're not in the now.
No, we're disassociated from our bodies usually.
Exactly. And we're just being incredibly triggered, you know, by old stuff.
Yeah, that mindfulness practice is extremely good for stress.
Very, very important. And a reminder that, yes, all this is going on, and right now I can be at peace. You know, great Prince of Peace left us recently. Thich Nhat, I always stumble on his name. I know it, but Thich Nhat.
No, I can't remember it either.
Beautiful, beautiful, amazing, extraordinary soul, a true Prince of Peace, died at, you know, literally people say, oh, you know, did something nefarious? No, he had a stroke some years ago. He was 95, the blessed man, finally departed this world. But he left such a message of peace and how to walk on this earth in peace and beauty and love.
Yeah.
Things like that tend to happen when there's nodal shifts, you know. I think it's very fitting time that he departed then. And he's left his essence and his message behind him.
Like we all will one day.
Yes.
Yes. Fortunately, we have YouTube and we have all these other video platforms.
We do.
So hopefully these recordings will be around after we're long gone.
That's right, Sheryl. Although there'll be so many new things going on
Oh,
there.
I know, but we'll have a time capsule of information, won't we? Oh my gosh, in the future, there'll be so much for archaeologists to unpack.
What the hell will they make of this in 1,000 years'
This has
time?
been a huge, this is a time of information where we've been had the capacity to record so much stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, they're going to have a field day with all that.
Phenomenal.
Wow, that was a lot to digest. I feel a little bit weighted down, but I also feel hopeful. Yeah, and I'm enthusiastic about change because we don't want to be where we are now.
No.
We want change. We want things to be different.
That's right. That this world has been in a terrible state for so long. People say they want things to go back to normal. I don't. It was terrible.
Yeah,
really.
But just from where we are now, we certainly don't want to stay here.
No, we certainly don't want to stay here.
Yeah,
it's like the baby in the birth. It's in the birth canal. Labour's underway. We can't stay there.
No
going back, and there's only one way out, but it's intense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So peace, calm, serenity, tranquility. Don't get overburdened with too much information.
That's
Follow
right.
your gut.
Follow your gut.
Follow your gut. If something doesn't feel right, sound right, read right, smell right,
That's
it's not.
right.
Follow your gut.
It's not. That's right. And get your on.
Yes. Yes.
You know, whatever that means, you know, just every day we need to have some of that.
Yes. And if anyone wants a break from the insanity, you can also join me for the next full moon meditation.
Yes.
Just to have some tranquility and serenity, just a bit of time, just to detach from it all. And remember, Aquarius is about detachment too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's very important.
That's right. And I did that last one. It was wonderful. So I highly recommend it. Was just beautiful to come together and just drop.
Yeah. Yeah. So the announcement about that will be on the Body Light Center Facebook page. So head over there, like the page, make it first to see it first on your news feed so that you don't miss out, and the information will be there too. So
I'm going to be speaking at a wonderful astrology weekend conference up on Mount Tambourine this coming weekend. So I usually speak there every year. It happens in February, and it's wonderful. Everyone comes together, and it's a wonderful time of friendship and connection and fabulous astrology with great astrologers. So if anyone's up for that, you can see the information on my Facebook page or contact me and I can tell you more about it.
Do you know if they're thinking of live streaming it?
No, that might come in the future. Yes, I think that's probably a good next step.
Because I mean, to go there, how much is it for the weekend?
God, I can't remember. It's not super expensive, and people can either do it as a day trip thing if they're coming from Brisbane or the Gold Coast. Many do that, or they can find accommodation up on Mount Tambourine. You know, if they want to stay overnight up there and make a nice weekend of it.
Have a break, because it's a beautiful place. If you don't know where Mount Tambourine is, it's southwest of Brisbane, I think it's southwest.
Yeah, it's a mountain sort of between, is the hinterland of the Gold Coast and Brisbane, and it's an hour from Brisbane, and it's so good to get out of town and just got this glorious rainforest.
And you can go for a walk in the down to Cedar Creek Falls at the
rainforest.
Beautiful,
and so lush right now after all the rain we've had.
And there's a lovely gallery walk up there too, so you can go into all the shops, and it's all very new agey and alternative, as well as beautiful food and
and fantastic botanical gardens up there as well. I often go walking through there. It's beautiful.
And artists too, selling all selling products. Gorgeous. Very Aquarian, actually.
Very.
Yeah.
It is on the mountain. In fact, my friend who has the property up there called Grail Haven, she's a Capricorn living on the mountain. Capricorns love to get up in the high places.
Goats.
With the goats.
Must love goats. Well, Thank you. Thank you so much for all that information.
A pleasure as always.
Yes. And everyone who's watched, just remember that if you enjoyed this episode, please like it and subscribe. And remember to tap the bell so you get notifications of when we upload the recordings. And all our contact information will be underneath as well. So until next time, when we come back with the full moon in Leo, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Until then, stay safe, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.